Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday, September 24th, 5:30. I'd like to welcome you to the Brevard County Commission budget hearing. And I'd like to call this meeting to order. And just ask that you take a moment of silence. You could just stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move into public hearings. Item D1.
Madam Chair and members of the board, item D1 allows for the reading of the tentative aggregate operating millage rate to fund the portion of the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget that is supported by property taxes. At this time, I would ask the Budget Office to read into the record the tentative aggregate millage for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Madam Chair and members of the board, the aggregate tentative millage rate for the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget is 5.8447 mils. This represents a 0% change to the aggregate rolled back millage of 5.8447 mils.
Commissioner Lober?
Jill, if I may, on the cover sheet for this item, or I guess they're called agenda reports now with the new system, under summary, explanation, and background, it indicates the tentative rate represents a 7.62% reduction from current fiscal year aggregate rate of 6.3268. Could you explain just real briefly for folks that may not have this in front of them or familiar with the budget process, just in simple terms, what that means?
So that means overall, when you look at the aggregate, when you look at the total operating ad valorem revenues being raised and apply that against the total taxable value, that aggregate rate is less than the prior year by 7.62%.
Thank you.
Item D2.
Madam Chair and members of the board, item D2 allows for the public to comment on the county budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. Before we begin public comment, I would ask that the Budget Office read into the record the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
The fiscal year 2019-2020 budget is $1,334,915,547. The budget represents an increase of $567,576, or 0.04% more than the fiscal year 2018-2019 current budget of $1,334,347,971.
Madam Chair, we are now ready to accept public comments on the budget for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Okay, Mr. Charles Tovey.
Charles Tovey, 2555 Roberts Road. I went to the meeting last week and it wasn't here, and I'll speak on the budget in just a minute. And I do have the video camera that I tried to show Sheriff Ivey about the man and his bulldozer and the felony property markers they moved up to destroy, and only part of it. Higher taxes. Why do we have a cap? Why do we make these laws? And then we're going to change the cap and not enforce this or do that. But every time there seems to be some sort of reason, crime rate's up. We need to give the sheriff more money. Crime rate's low. We need to break the cap. Gas is high. We need to raise taxes. Groceries, hurricanes. And it's real difficult for me to ever come up here in public speaking, and it's against my nature, but anyways, they never go down. And you would think that through the almost 300 years of our country or whatever it is, that by now you would have a hold on expenses and things, but they always go up, and it's breaking all the rules and regulations and laws that were spent and the time deciding, and for why? Isn't it in vain to do that? Make a cap and then break it? And what about the booty? When the sheriff's office makes arrests, don't they have booties and seizures, and then the police benevolent society and fraternal order of police, and there's all kinds of help for the needy and this and that. I don't see why we have to keep on raising taxes, and I'm not saying that taxes never go down, but the amount of taxes I've heard go down are slim and none, if any, and I'm not aware of it because of my situation trying to live in Brevard County. And I was here last week. I didn't get advance notice on the public speaking, and it wasn't on the rules up there or anything else, but I will be at the next meeting, God willing, and have a nice day, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Charles. Chet Ellsworth?
Chet Ellsworth, 989 North Highway A1A, Indy Atlantic. I wanted to speak a little bit on the newspaper activity about our sheriff and discuss it. When I was here before, I was talking against that breaking the cap, and I've come to realize why it occurred. And some of the activities of the conduct of the sheriff's office and fighting back against the state and the local court systems and some of his activities. And I think he did it because the legal system's broken. It's flat broken, and he's the only one that's standing up to it. You folks here are getting behind him on some of his stuff, but this process for the budget here is broken also. You had a whole year last year where none of your committees met. You had this year, you had committees on the budget side that weren't authorized and had no right to be making things. The critical part of this is coming across from what Mr. Ivy is up against is the privilege that comes with some of these legal things. The privileges that the attorneys have, we got two of them here, the privileges that a CPA has to recognize and at the same time represent other bigger entities while they're doing public business. That's conflicted, and it shows up. I've been up here since January trying to get investigations to look at things like this. I have pinpointed some of the problems and gave you some sort of direction on what I'd like to see, and the only one that can get away with doing it is Mr. Ivy. I propose that we encourage him to stay with it and form some sort of a public grand jury system to get rid of the problems that we've got here. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Gorin?
Good evening, everybody. Excuse me. Been rushing. I didn't realize I was actually going to be late.
You say your name and
Barbara Gorin, Vieira. I'd like to thank everybody for what they're doing here with the budget, but I have a complaint. Or it's not a complaint, it's my opinion. I am very unhappy with the sheriff's budget. I respect him. I think he's doing a great job. But I am sorry, I do not go along with a budget that is not open so that we all know what is happening. I live in one of the unincorporated areas, and quite frankly, I think this is just not what we signed up for. Not being able to know what the budget is and see the line item. I just feel strongly about that, as I know many others that I have talked with, but everybody's afraid to say anything. But it's not against the sheriff, it's against the policies that he's working with and keeping us out of the loop. So I appreciate what you're doing, but I think that the citizens need to be considered. There should have been meetings that I feel that where it was more open for us. You all have districts. Are you not allowed to have a district meeting, individual district meetings to, as well as the sheriff, to come to our districts and speak to us, especially the ones that are affected? As far as it not being a tax, it is a tax. And they're not being actually raised so that we see an increase. It's being covered up by a millage. So it is a tax being covered up by a tax. And I just can't abide by it. I have to abide by it. I just don't agree with it. So I'm sorry, I just had to give my 2 cents worth. And it's not against Sheriff Ivy. He's done a great job for us, but I just don't see this being above board. So that's all I have to say. I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lober?
I presume that's all the cards we have for that?
That's it.
Okay, I have some thoughts. I actually just penciled this, or penned this while I was sitting up here. Because I've heard some of the same information that I think folks are either misunderstanding or may have been misrelayed to them. So I want to talk just real briefly about why I'm supporting the budget the way that it is. And in particular, I'm going to focus on the sheriff's office. And I think the sheriff does know I'm not afraid to say something he's not necessarily happy about. I'll be kind tonight, though. But I've heard from folks that, we never met with the sheriff, or that commissioners haven't met with the sheriff. I don't know what other commissioners have done, but I can tell you that we've met several times. At least one of the times he brought Greg Pelham from his office to help explain the budget to me. So as far as the lack of transparency, insofar as my experience is concerned, I've not had that at all. I've had the opposite. He brought several folks, his chief deputy, Greg Pelham, Lindsay, to answer every question I had. And I did have questions, and they were all answered at least to my satisfaction, if not better. As far as a line item budget, that's a great goal. But when you look at the size of that organization and you look at the size of all the other constitutional offices, even our auditors, to the best of my understanding, the internal and the external auditors, I don't believe they look at line item budgets. It's just not something where anyone has the resources, certainly not individually, to micromanage to that degree. If something stands out, obviously an inquiry can be made to determine why that particular portion of the budget seems elevated to some degree. But as far as going through the brand of staples that someone's buying, or whether they're buying ballpoint or rollerball pens, I don't know that anyone does that outside of the individual organizations. I've also heard from folks, well, why should we give an office an increase when crime is down? Why should we give law enforcement an increase? And I'll just give you a real quick war story. When I was in college, I worked in a job, and it was an hourly job, and I finished the job, what they assigned me, pretty quickly. And I got called in, and they said essentially, look, we're going to have to cut your hours. And I said, well, why? They said, well, you're doing your work in less time than we thought it would take you. And I said, okay, well, what's my new hourly rate going to be? And essentially, I can't punish someone for being efficient. That's setting a terrible precedent to discourage folks from doing everything they can. If crime is down, I'd like to drive it down even further. As far as the trends in the county, I don't think anyone would argue or could argue that our population has not been increasing and is not continuing to increase. The more people we have, the more deputies we need in order to keep those folks safe. In particular, some of the items that I spoke with the sheriff about during the several times that we did meet on this item were bringing in additional deputies, patrol deputies, road deputies, and making sure that we retain those folks by having competitive salary so that we don't have that problem of attrition in the first 5 years. I can tell you, as far as hearing taxes going up, when you look at how the county taxes are structured, we've got 20-plus buckets that are the county tax when you take them all together. Just because one bucket is going up, that doesn't mean the taxes are going up. If you look in the newspaper, which will remain unnamed, there was no advertisement of a proposed increase, and there is a legislative requirement for when that has to be advertised. We didn't trigger that, so as a matter of law, the legislature even disagrees that this is a tax increase. What I will tell you is, when I was running, at least, I ran on a platform where I think the first words out of my mouth when folks asked me about my priorities were public safety. And if law enforcement and county fire rescue aren't public safety, I don't know what is. So for us to reprioritize, to elevate what we focus our resources on in the direction of public safety at the expense of other things that aren't as critical, I don't have any shame for doing that. I don't think it's inconsistent with anything I've said. I've not heard anyone up here say anything that makes that inconsistent with their platform. And what I'll tell you as well is another argument I've heard is that our going past the 3% cap somehow disrespects or fails to abide by the wishes of the voters that approved it. And I would just point out, and I pointed it out, I believe, in the past as well, that the same folks that voted to put that cap in place in this, and only this county in the state, also built into that ballot provision language saying that with a supermajority it could be exceeded. So we're respecting the will of those folks by doing exactly what they require for us to go past that. I said I'd keep it brief. I've talked even longer than I intended to, and I'll leave it at that at this point.
Commissioner Pritchett?
Thank you, Commissioner Isnardi. I'm going to pull a little bit of a Lober here tonight.
God help us.
Thank you, ma'am. Just
Speak so softly.
okay, I'll try to talk a little louder. I'm kind of fascinated how this all has come down to being all on the sheriff and his budget. So I just thought I'd like to put this in perspective a little bit. Number one, I would never just pass a budget because I trust someone, although I am kind of fond of the sheriff. But, you know, there's going to have to be observation and evaluation, and that's what we've all done up here. And I got to tell you, too, these are not dumb people up here. And you know, actually the sheriff's getting a little smaller, so we're not even as scared of him as we used to be. But, you know, I think we have honorable people up here serving, and we're doing the best we can to not waste taxpayers' dollars. So on that, I just want to think through a few points here, and I love the way Commissioner Lober will do this. But there are 5 constitutional offices. And out of those 5 constitutional offices, the tax collector remained flat, and so did the property appraiser. Now, those 5 constitutional officers, I found out 2 of them do send line item budgets, although none of us, you know, really see them. And we're going to go through the path of why here in just a second. But the fascination to me is how the sheriff got singled out here. And I don't understand it. I don't know why. So let's go through a few questions here. Miss Jill and Frank, if you wouldn't mind giving the answers to these, if you would. And question number 1 is, do any of the other constitutional offices have an MSTU?
The sheriff's office is the only constitutional officer that is funded partially through the MSTU, and that's the law enforcement MSTU. It's levied in unincorporated Brevard to fund the law enforcement deputies in unincorporated Brevard.
Thank you, sir. And in that pot of money, we can't spend that anywhere else in the county. It all goes to law enforcement, correct, sir?
That's right.
Okay. Could the sheriff's budget have been completely funded under general fund dollars?
Well, the sheriff's law enforcement MSTU exceeded the charter cap by like $940,000 approximately. And if the board wanted, we would have to find that amount in the general fund to fund it another way.
Okay, so it actually could have all been smushed into the general fund, but we chose to put it in the MSTU. Again, I did particularly because I knew it would go just to law enforcement and we wouldn't have any other avenues to make any changes. What is, oh, you just told me, the excess amount of dollars in the MST over cap, you just told me was 942,000, correct, sir?
Right, that's correct.
Okay. What is the increase in dollars in this budget compared to the Supervisor of Elections adopted budget?
The Supervisor of Elections budget increased by approximately 1.4 million when comparing the requested budget to the prior year fiscal year 19 adopted budget.
Thank you, Ms. Jill. And she explained to us through some, information we received, she has to do bilingual ballots, and she had increased public safety in her office. What is the percentage of that change, ma'am?
That was a 28% increase.
Thank you. What is the increase in dollars in this budget compared to the Clerk of Court's adopted budget?
So the clerk to the board's adopted budget is flat at just over 2 million. However, we did allocate an additional $750,000 in the general government budget, and that's to fund the first year of a new case management system. And so that's going to be over a 2-year period, $750,000 each year.
So 1.5 million.
Correct.
And that, again, is something he needed to have to take care of his responsibilities for his job. And even though it's not called that part of the budget, it's still money going to him as another line item. So, you could have called that MSTU or whatever you want it to, but it's actually money that he needed to do it. What is the increase in dollars in this budget compared to the sheriff's? Oh, I'm sorry, let me ask you this. What was the percentage for the clerks, ma'am?
So the $750,000 in funding for the new case management system represents 36% of the clerk to the board's recurring adopted budget.
Thank you, ma'am. So the supervisor's 28%, the clerk's going up 36%. What is the increase in dollars in this budget compared to the sheriff's adopted budget? For the general, let's do general because we have two categories.
Okay, so for the general fund, the sheriff's adopted budget, it increases by $2,877,216.
Thank you, ma'am. And what about the MSTU?
That increases by $1,765,605.
Thank you, ma'am. And what's the percentage of change for the general?
It is 2.99%,
The change for the MSTU?
9.3%.
Okay, so the supervisor is changing by 28%. Clerk of Court's changing by 36%, and the sheriff's changing by 3% and 9%. Just a quick review on that. The difference we would have had to make up was $942,309. Now, please understand, the supervisor of election needed those funds. I believe it, so did the clerk of courts. But if we would have just denied one of theirs, this could have rolled right into it. We wouldn't be having this discussion. So if you compare apples with apples, the constitutional offices, they needed the increases. But let's finish this chain of thought just for a minute. Do the county commissioners have any authority over the constitutional offices?
Constitutional officers are separate elected officials that don't fall under the Board of County Commissioners. Their duties are provided for by the state constitution and then Article 4 of the county charter.
Wonderful. So we don't get to boss them around and they don't get to boss us around, correct?
Right, they're separate
Okay.
offices.
Do we have any authority over their budgets?
Charter section 4.6.2 establishes that you have a budget approval and additional duties for the constitutional officers. The budget of each department that's headed by an elected county officer, which is your charter officers, shall be fixed and approved by the Board of County Commissioners, subject to the approval and the review that's provided by general law to officers of like powers and functions in non-charter counties. So you can approve it, and you fix and approve the budget, but they have a review process that's provided for, the same review process that's provided for anyone who's not a charter county.
Thank you, sir. So they have state statutes they have to follow. Did they comply? Did each of the constitutional offices comply with what they had to legally when they submitted their budgets?
Yes, they did.
Thank you. What would happen if we were just having a bad day and we said no?
Well, there's an appeal process for the sheriff that entails appealing to the, what's known as the Administration Commission, which is made up of the governor and the cabinet, so he could petition to them. For the clerk of court and supervisor elections, they would have a different process. They could have it reviewed by circuit court.
Thank you, sir, and I won't make you speculate on this. Do you like that word, Commissioner Lober?
Yes, ma'am.
But if they're within their structure of what they're allowed to bring as a budget, they're within all the constraints, and they bring a budget to the county, and we're able to fund it, especially under the aggregate, my guess is if we just decide it no and they appeal it, they're going to win. And so we are just, with this too, I got to tell you, the day we're in with, I agree with you, Commissioner Lober, public safety, infrastructure, and I also throw in economic development. I think it's important. The day we're in right now, it's so important to have a good sheriff's department. And I've got to tell you, I don't know when the man sleeps and his deputies, and they're just working so hard. And out of 66 law enforcement agencies in the county, his budget is number 59, which means there's only 7 other law enforcement agencies that have a lower budget than the sheriff. So you know what, and I stand behind, I think he's running a frugal budget. Look at the per capita numbers. And so I just don't have a problem with it. I just think it's a good, sound budget. And so I just want to say that I am going to pass this wholeheartedly. I think it's a good budget. I am very glad it's going to public safety. If we would have been busting the cap for the general fund, I wouldn't have voted for it. But because of where it's going to and what I believe the day we're in right now with the school shootings, the mall shootings, concerts, they just had a fentanyl, I hope I said that right, a really dangerous drug, I guess you'd call it a bust, right, sir? And these are important things, and they're on the ball with it. And I've got to say, if he's having a little fun on Facebook and all these things, promoting the sheriff's department, it's letting the kids know that we got a strong sheriff's department. So that's just what I wanted to say, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pritchett. Commissioner Tobias?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be voting no on this MSTU, but I wanted to point out that the vote no is certainly not a measure of distrust for the sheriff. My vote is based on how much funds law enforcement should receive, but whether there was a way to prioritize law enforcement dollars without busting the charter cap. I believe we could have accomplished this through general funds, which is why I would be voting no. This was mentioned previous by Commissioner Pritchett. I still believe paying $1.4 million to a oversight organization that hands out money to companies is incorrect. I think the money could be better spent with the sheriff. I think handing over $4.5 million skimmed off of our general fund, which is handed over to CRAs who spends money on landscaping and facade grants, could be better spent with the sheriff. I think giving away more than $100,000 of charity could be better spent with a law enforcement budget. But I also want to take a second here and speak to the media reports which have insinuated that the sheriff has not done his due diligence in providing the commission with the budget information. This simply is not true. The sheriff met the minimum requirements. Let me say that again. The sheriff met the minimum requirements of transparency under Florida Statute 30-49, Section 2C. If there are any concerns with more information being needed under Florida Statute 30.49, Section 3, it is the board's responsibility, not the sheriff's, to request information at the sub-object level. We have not, as a board, chosen to do that. So I appreciate the the time, the concern, and the effort, but I will be voting no on the law enforcement MSTU, which also requires me to vote no on the final resolution, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to commend my fellow commissioners Lober and Pritchett for being so eloquent and insightful with their comments regarding the sheriff's budget. They were so good that they didn't leave anything left for me to say. So I will be voting for this budget.
That was pretty boring. I'm just giving you a hard time. And I would agree with you. They did say a lot of things that I would have said as well. And I just want to point out, and I don't know what's sadder, the fact that the media would say that the sheriff isn't being transparent, or the fact that they would assume that we haven't asked hard questions, because like the other commissioners, I met with the sheriff to go over his budget. I have a book here anybody's welcome to borrow, make copies of, use, and it's just like everybody else's budget that were submitted from the constitutional offices. And I've met with him more than once on this, asked him specific questions about some of the things in this budget. So to act like we don't care is simply reckless and irresponsible. That's all I'll say about that. And as far as implying, because, you'll always have people who don't like you for various reasons, and they'll always take the opportunity to take shots at you. I can tell you this. I mean, I've known Sheriff Ivey for a long time, and I could tell you all the glowing things that many others have said about him. However, I know him well enough to know that if I didn't support this budget, he would still be a friend. He would still be somebody that would work with my office. And I can tell you, and you only have to look so far as my history, I took on much bigger force than Sheriff Ivey when I was in Palm Bay. I had a former fire union president run against me my second term because I wasn't afraid to fight against something I didn't believe was right. If I didn't believe this budget was solid, and I didn't believe that he was spending his money in a responsible manner, I would be the first one not to support it. So I think it's just really sad that the media will choose and pick and choose what they want, and just based on what's been happening. And I think it was 9 stories in 3 days. Is that correct, Sheriff? Just give me a nod. I mean, it's pretty obscene.
Does that include the reposts?
And yeah, the repost doesn't include the repost. And it's fine. You don't like the sheriff because he requires you to have public records requests. How about not writing stories that are so slanted that it makes you not want to talk to the press? Because I've been there. I mean, I'm more than willing to talk to a fair and open press. And I've dealt with different writers, Florida Today, and I don't want to embarrass them by saying their names, very known liberal writers, at Florida Today. And I'll say it, I don't care. Britt Kennerly is probably one of my favorites because when she covered the city of Palm Bay, she did so in a fair and honest manner, all sides of the issues, and not writing stories to make implications or stories that turn into editorials. So, I mean, probably not the time or place to bring it up, but it's very frustrating to me because it misrepresented what the commissioners had done or hadn't done. Because the emails we get is that you need to know what's in the sheriff's budget. And our response is, we do know what's in the sheriff's budget. But based on what's out there, you wouldn't think so. So, all right, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. So I'll be supporting the budget. Not because Wayne's my friend or not because, of his politics, but just because I agree with the budget. And I think public safety is our number one responsibility. So with that,
I think it's back to me then.
it is. Well, I have a public comment card for item D3, although it's not part of what we're supposed to do. It's on our published agenda online, so I'm going to call the card because I think that's the fair thing to do. So I'll call it before you speak, if that's okay. All right?
Sure. Well, Madam Chair and members of the board, it's at this time you've already had some discussion on the budget, but you might, if you have other items you want to discuss now, would be the appropriate time to do that too. And let me just point out that since the board is required to adopt millages and related budgets separately, comments and motions concerning any of the individual tax levies that we're going to be talking about can be made at the time that each millage is adopted. And now we're ready to go on to agenda item D3, and if you want to call that card.
Okay. Robert Burns? Can I just ask the public, bear with us, we've switched agenda software, so sometimes it doesn't always match, but we'll try to be equitable and fair if, for some reason, the public comment card's misplaced.
Roger.
All right, name and address.
Robert Burns, Vieira. Back in April, I had someone do a public records request to the sheriff's office for the budget. Took about 2 weeks to get invoice response for the budget. That invoice included a 2-hour extended clerical time charge, and the total of the invoice was $67 and some change. I think that I can't think of a lot of things that would take me 2 hours to complete administratively. The Excel spreadsheet, I'm assuming that the budget is not a paper budget, but probably on some kind of Excel spreadsheet or equivalent, and it would be a manner of attaching the file and replying to the email, as most of us have done. For that to take 2 hours and to charge a constituent $67 for that request, I think is excessive, and I can't think of an objective way to justify that amount of time for that task. But if it does take 2 hours to respond to one public records request for something that should already be in existence, for example, the budget, to me that shows some inefficiency within the department itself and its ability to respond to these requests, because then it would only take 4 requests of the budget to occupy one staff member's entire day to fulfill those requests. So I'm not worried about the amount of money that was requested for the cap increase. I think the reason that the sheriff was singled out is because he was the only one who requested the cap to be busted. Commissioner Lober brought up the college. You know, when I was in college, if I asked my mother for more money, I went under some certain level of scrutiny to find out why I needed the money and where it was going to. I don't doubt that that level of transparency has been offered to the commission. It just seems like it's not being offered so readily to the public. I don't think anyone on the commission paid $67 to see the budget. It seems the very simple thing to do would just put the budget on a link on the sheriff's website for anyone at any time to go on there and just download it like we do any other file or any other agenda. That would save 2 hours and $67 to the residents and to the sheriff's office if they could do that. And there's probably a lot more things within the sheriff's department that could be more efficient just looking at that invoice. I don't understand any objective reason why the budget could not be afforded in that manner. I asked the clerk of courts for his budget. He sent me his line item budget that night personally in my personal email. So that's all.
Thank you. All right, that's the only card I have.
Okay, at this point, we can go on to agenda item D3. Madam Chair, members of the board, for D3, the Budget Office personnel will now read into the record the millage and related ad valorem revenue for each taxing authority. Following the reading of each tax levy, it is requested that the chair entertain a motion for approval of that millage.
For the general fund countywide, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 3.8196, which is a 1.89% increase from the rolled back millage of 3.7488, generating $155,247,367.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Brevard Library District, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.4463, which represents a 0.29% decrease from the rollback millage of 0.4476, generating $18,278,486.
Commission, it's your pleasure.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For Brevard Mosquito Control, The fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.1809, which is a 2.32% increase from the rolled back millage of 0.1768, generating $7,408,869.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Lober,
Second?
second by Commissioner Pritchett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the fire control MSTU, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.6321, which represents a 2.03% increase from the rollback millage of 0.6195, generating $12,586,603.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Lober, second by Commissioner Smith. And this is an area that I want to look at, Commissioner Pritchett, for next year. We talked about the fire MSTU.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at making sure our fire department's adequately funded. But with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Recreation District 1 MSTU, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.5678, which represents a 0.09% increase from the rollback millage of 0.5673, generating $2,953,467.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For Recreation District 4 maintenance, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.6662, which represents a 0.42% decrease from the rollback millage of 0.6690, generating $2,836,626.
Commissioner, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Tyco Airport Authority, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.0000, which represents no change from the rollback millage of 0.000, generating $0.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Lober,
Second?
second by Commissioner Pritchett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Law Enforcement MSTU, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 1.1142, which represents a 7.30% increase from the rollback millage of 1.0384, generating $20,466,289.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Tavaya in the negative.
For the Road and Bridge District 1 MSTU, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.6390, representing a 2.52% increase from the rollback rate of 0.6233, generating $2,198,762.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Road and Bridge District 2 MSTU, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.2376, which represents a 2.11% increase from the rollback millage of 0.2327, generating $1,038,612.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Lober,
Second.
second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Road and Bridge District 3 MSTU, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.2524, which is a 2.31% increase from the rollback millage of 0.2467, generating $492,603.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The Road and Bridge District 4 MSTU fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.2600, which is a 2.24% increase from the rollback millage of 0.2543, generating $1,441,147.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The Road and Bridge District 5 MSTU fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.3714, which represents a 2.60% increase from the rollback millage of 0.3620, generating $585,556.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Road and Bridge District 4 MSTU Beaches, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.2486, which is a 2.56% increase from the rollback millage of 0.2424, generating $158,976.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner
Aye.
Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Road and Bridge District 4 MSTU Merritt Island South, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.1222, which is a 2.78% increase from the rollback millage of 0.1189, generating $21,895.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Environmentally Endangered Land 2004 fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.0619, which is a 2.15% increase from the rollback millage of 0.0606, which will generate $2,535,152.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett,
Second.
second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Port St. John Canaveral Groves Recreation MSTU, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.3234, which represents a 0.06% decrease from the rollback millage of 0.3236, generating $516,411.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The North Brevard Recreation District fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.2281, which represents a 0.13% increase from the rollback millage of 0.2278, generating $736,853.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the Merritt Island Recreation MSTU, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.3180, which represents a 0.38% decrease from the rollback millage of 0.3192, generating $1,112,880.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The South Brevard Recreation District fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.2938, which represents a 0.31% decrease from the rollback millage of 0.2947, generating $6,939,970.
Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Lober,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pritchett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we are now moving into our debt service millage rates. So for the environmentally endangered lands debt service, fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.0804, generating $3,312,076.
Move to approve, and you guys are doing an excellent job tag teaming it over there.
Thank you.
Second.
It's usually rough when Jill's got to do it all by herself. Motion by Commissioner Lober,
I second, Madam
second by
Chair.
Commissioner Pritchett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The Port St. John Canal Rose Recreation MSTU debt service fiscal year 2019-2020 10 millage is 0.0000, generating $0.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For the North Brevard Recreation District debt millage, the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.5719, generating $1,853,882.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The Merritt Island Recreation MSTU debt service fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.4820, generating $1,688,089.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Lober,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pritchett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The South Brevard Recreation District debt service millage for the fiscal year 2019-2020 tentative millage is 0.3062, generating $7,276,621.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Lober, second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Madam Chair and members of the board, the Budget Office will announce the recomputed aggregate millage and the change represented by that recomputed millage from the aggregate rolled back millage.
Madam Chair and members of the board, the aggregate millage rate for the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget is 5.8447 mils. This represents a 0% change from the aggregate rolled back millage rate of 5.8447.
Move to adopt.
Motion
There's
by-
actually, yeah,
Is there, I don't think there is.
We're not going to need a motion on that.
Resolution.
Madam Chair and members of the board, the Budget Office will read into the record the resolution establishing the county's final millages for fiscal year 2019-2020. Following the reading of the resolution, it's requested that the chair entertain a motion for approval of the resolution.
a resolution to adopt final millages pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt final millages for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the taxing entities identified in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof by this reference, does hereby levy the millages specified in Exhibit A, and does hereby state the percentage by which the aggregate millage to be levied is a change from the rollback aggregate millage.
Can I get a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
A motion by Commissioner Lober,
Second.
second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Tobias voting no.
Madam Chair and members of the board, for agenda item D4, the Budget Office will read into the record the resolution adopting the county's total budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. Following the reading of the resolution, it is requested that the chair entertain a motion for approval of the resolution.
A resolution to adopt a final budget pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final operating and capital budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing for an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing and governing authority, does hereby adopt an operating and capital budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $1,334,915,547.
Move to approve.
I got a motion to approve the resolution by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was not a name up here for like 50 items and you're on here. Sorry. Commissioner Tobias?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for doing that before the vote. I first of all like to say I appreciate the diligent work of Mr. Abate, Ms. Hayes, budget staff, the department directors, and the finance representatives that worked so hard on this budget. I certainly want to especially commend the staff's dedication to transparency, access, and line item detail. This budget office has worked diligently to ensure our budget is reviewable by anyone who wishes to do so, even people with disabilities. When constituents have asked more detailed line item questions on budgets that our budget office controls, I am easily able to get that information from our budget office or the books provided within a very short period of time. Just to give an example of how detail-oriented our office is, I have asked and received what model of phones the Central Service Department uses, receipts for individual travel expenses, including fast food restaurants, and a list of DVDs that were rated R or above at the library for loan. Our staff does great work at the line item level, and it is important that we are transparent so our citizens can see what we intend to accomplish on behalf of how we use their money. Here's where it comes down to. You set the bar so high, it's very understandable that by comparison, other entities may not shine as bright. However, I cannot vote for this budget because it requires busting the voter-approved spending cap. So thank you for all your work. I can't say how much I appreciate the detail, the line item detail that you put forward. Our priorities are important, and we put that forth in a budget, and you give not only us as a commission the ability to look through that, but certainly all of the constituents. So again, please do not take my no vote as an affront to the hard work and the diligence that you put forward with this budget.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1.
Madam Chair and members of the board, the Budget Office will read into the record resolutions establishing final millages for those dependent taxing districts for which the county levies a millage. There are 6 resolutions that will be read in succession. Following the reading of all these resolutions, it's requested that the chair entertain a single motion for approval of all 6 resolutions.
A resolution to adopt a final millage pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt a final millage for the Brevard County Free Public Library District for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Brevard County Free Public Library District, does hereby levy the millage specified in Exhibit A. The fiscal year 2019-2020 adopted millage is 0.4463, representing a 0.29% decrease from the rollback millage of 0.4476, generating $18,278,486.
A resolution to adopt a final millage pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final millage for the Brevard Mosquito Control District for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Brevard Mosquito Control District, does hereby levy the millage specified in Exhibit A. The fiscal year 2019-2020 adopted millage is 0.1809, which is a 2.32% increase from the rollback millage of 0.1768, generating $7,408,869.
A resolution to adopt a final millage pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final millage for the Brevard County Recreation Special District for Operations and Maintenance for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Brevard County Recreation Special District for Operations and Maintenance, does hereby levy the millage specified in Exhibit A. The fiscal year 2019-2020 adopted millage is 0.6662, representing a 0.42% decrease from the rollback millage of 0.6690, generating $2,836,626.
A resolution to adopt the final millage pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final millage for the Titusville-Cocoa Airport Authority for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Titusville-Cocoa Airport Authority, does hereby levy the millage specified in Exhibit A. The fiscal year 2019-2020 adopted millage is 0.0000, which is no change from the rollback millage of 0.0000, generating $0.
A resolution to adopt a final millage pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final millage for the South Brevard Recreation Special District for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the South Brevard Recreation Special District, does hereby levy the millage specified in Exhibit A. For the operating millage, the fiscal year 2019-2020 adopted millage is 0.2938, which is a 0.31% decrease from the rollback millage of 0.2947, generating $6,939,970. For the debt, the fiscal year 2019-2020 adopted millage is 0.3062, generating $7,276,621.
A resolution to adopt a final millage pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final millage for the North Brevard Recreation Special District for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the North Brevard Recreation Special District, does hereby levy the millage specified in Exhibit A. For the operating fiscal year 2019-2020, adopted millage is 0.2281, which is a 0.13% increase from the rollback millage of 0.2278, generating $736,853. For the North Brevard Recreation Special District debt, the fiscal year 2019-2020 adopted millage is 0.5719, generating $1,853,882.
Second.
Motion to approve resolutions by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
For Agenda Item D6, Madam Chair and members of the Board, the Budget Office will read into the record 11 resolutions establishing adopted budgets for the dependent districts of the county. These resolutions will also be read in succession, and following the reading of these resolutions, we're going to request that the Chair entertain a motion to approve all 11 of the resolutions.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the Brevard County Free Public Library District pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Brevard County Free Public Library District, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2019, and ending September 30, 2020, in the amount of $27,904,340.
A resolution to adopt the final operating budget for the Brevard Mosquito Control District pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Brevard Mosquito Control District, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2019, and ending September 30, 2020, in the amount of $10,698,814.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the Brevard County Recreation Special District for operations and maintenance pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Brevard County Recreation Special District for operations and maintenance, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $3,220,506.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the Titusville Cocoa Airport Authority pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Titusville Cocoa Airport Authority, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24th, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $2,463,678.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the South Brevard Recreation Special District pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the South Brevard Recreation Special District, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $14,216,591.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the North Brevard Recreation Special District pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the North Brevard Recreation Special District, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $2,590,735.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the Merritt Island Redevelopment Agency pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Merritt Island Redevelopment Agency, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $3,386,236.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the Barefoot Bay Water and Sewer District pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Barefoot Bay Water and Sewer District, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24th, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $5,430,781.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the Melbourne-Tillman Water Control District pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the Melbourne-Tillman Water Control District, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $4,471,512.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the North Brevard Economic Development Zone pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the North Brevard Economic Development Zone, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24th, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $6,252,465.
A resolution to adopt a final operating budget for the A. Max Brewer Memorial Law Library pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes, authorizing the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 and providing an effective date. The Board of County Commissioners, Brevard County, Florida, as taxing authority for the A. Max Brewer Memorial Law Library, does hereby adopt a final operating budget as presented and amended at the public hearing held on September 24, 2019, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, in the amount of $398,945.
Motion to adopt is read.
All 11?
Yes, all 11. That's correct.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Pritchett? Sorry about that.
Madam Chair and members of the board, for item D7, we're requesting that the chair entertain a motion to authorize the county manager or designee to execute all letters and exhibits that are necessary to establish that Brevard County has complied with sections 200.065 and section 218.63 Florida statutes, the truth in millage law.
I make a motion to authorize the county manager.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett,
Second.
second by Commissioner Smith.
I do have a
Okay.
quick question, if I may.
Okay, your thing didn't work.
I didn't
That's
do it.
okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Jeff, do we have any trim concerns with the solid-state drives? It's a terrible joke. All right. If I call the question, please.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
That's it for the budget. We're ready to move on to agenda item D8, which involves mosquito control.
Okay, item D8. Yeah, I don't have a D8 either, but unless somebody else.
Excuse me, E1, E1.
It does say on the script to move to D8, though, so.
Yeah.
Okay, item E1.
E1.
Okay, item E1, this is Mosquito Control's annual state certified budget for the fiscal year of 2019-2020. Chapter 388, Rule 5E13, Florida Administrative Code requires us to submit this annual budget to the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by September 30th of every year. And so we were requesting that the board approves and authorizes the chair to sign this certified annual budget.
I make a
you.
motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item E2. Quickly. No, I'm just kidding. I just see you moving quickly, so.
Trying to get in and get out. Commissioners, item E2 is, if you remember from last year, I believe the mic's on, has to do with what's called a low-income pool. State of Florida has a Medicaid waiver that's in place that allows for local government funds to be matched with the federal waiver dollars. In this instance, there's a request for $772,000, which will draw down approximately $1.6 million in federal funds to support the Brevard Health Alliance. The 772 has to be general fund dollars that is offset by a donation to the general fund from the Health First Foundation.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, second by Commissioner Lober. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to board reports. Mr. Abate?
No report.
Ms. Bentley?
No report.
Commissioner Pritchett?
No report.
Commissioner Lober?
No report.
Commissioner Tobias?
No report.
Commissioner Smith?
That has to be a first. No report.
And I have no report. So with that, we'll call this meeting adjourned. I don't think that's ever
Did
happened.
that ever happen?
No.
It's pretty
I
good.
couldn't break the trend.
You can say something.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.